Set that it crashes for me, but now it just looks like everything crashes for me randomly, so I'm probably going to have to start running these debug DLLs, trying to figure out what's going on.
I find
You should
with
always
Clearcut,
run
though,
debug DLLs if you crash.
I really hate Clearcut on pub games because it just degenerates into Arrow and LRM spam match games. It's probably one of my favorites because I just love the open vistas, but then where you can use long range units, but then you've got woods and rock formations where it's close range units, and it's great for air and artillery. Yeah, I think it's a really interesting map for plan games. I just think it gets spoiled by Arrow and long LRM spam in pub games.
Okay guys, welcome to the final of Tournament of the Jaguar. We have a tie, 2-2 so far. WiE managing to pull it back from the brink in the last 2 rounds, netting themselves 2 victories, which now matches RDL's 2 victories from the first 2 rounds. The map's going to be clear-cut for the decider. Plenty of options on this map. You've got the opportunity to use aerospace, the opportunity to use a range setup. You could use a brawl setup by moving in between the rocks, utilising the dips in the terrain to block line of sight, get close. You can even make use of artillery if you want. So I expect to see interesting and diverse things from either team.
I kinda do not. I see RDL is starting to buy their assets, and it looks like they're going with the extremity list, with long-range warhammers, light gauzes, and the Hewitt.
Yeah, I really don't think either team's going to be experimental here and take a long tom or an aerospace. It is kind of strange to have so many rounds go past without one of those 2 types of units being used, but it doesn't look like we're going to see either of them.
Well, this is the 3rd round where we've seen both teams have a Hewitt, anticipating that the other team might take some air.
It's becoming kind of comedic, actually.
How does it look on the Wolf and Exile side? What kind of list are they going with?
Similar to before ones, we've got 3 Shadow Cats, again the PPC Gauss variant, Hewitt again, of course. The only kind of slightly newer, stranger one we've got is we've got a Mauler coming out. Not really sure about the variant. Looks like it's got 2 PPCs and missiles, probably LRMs, and then yeah, UAC2s, I think, MRM40s.
Yep, that's the Mauler D. That has extra armour in comparison to the Mauler, so that's going to be able to tank some damage.
Actually, the only heavy armoured asset in their entire squad, really. Hewitt, a little bit heavily armoured, but nothing compared to, that Mauler there.
RDL is moving out and then going out to the right from their base. I suspect they will go up and take the ridge line since they have all long-range assets.
WiE going for a similar approach, moving out and going to the left, hoping to take the hills over on the western side of the map. Obviously both units trying to play to their strengths here. We've got the anti-air backup and the from the Hewitt on WiE, and the use of the scats is very common to them. So I imagine we're going to see a match kind of similar to the earlier ones. Both teams don't want to give up their advantages.
Of course, this is the decider, so I can understand both units going with something they are very familiar with.
WiE have just stopped pretty much 400-500 meters outside of their base. They seem content to make use of this hill that's just to the west.
Interesting the way we've got the 2 teams swapping though between whether they're using faster types of units or heavier types of units to complement their ranged abilities. But I was kind of expecting it to turn to a long-range standoff, but with WiE moving very, very slowly, could be anything now, really.
I'm disappointed not to see any aerospace from either team. I think that could have been a real decider.
Or that long tom. RDL has placed themselves on a tiny little hilltop, quite clustered together.
Yeah, it would have been interesting to see some one of those types of assets at least. It's kind of surprising to see any of them at all. But then at the same time, both teams have bought Hewitts to every round, so they have anticipated that, and maybe that's why no one's bought them. They're just worried about those Hewitts.
RDL has set up camp, and it does not look like they intend to move unless they're forced off that hill.
WIE moving out a little bit more to the west. They've left their initial hill and moving more towards the next one in the chain. Cass leading the way with his mauler. Obviously trying to make use of that high amount of armour, just in case if they bump into anything they don't want to.
To be fair, I don't think there's many approaches to the RDL hill that does not expose the approacher to fire.
I think there's any of them, though.
Hmm?
I said I don't think there's any approaches to that hill which aren't going to expose it. The closest you get to that being seen is potentially sneaking through that water, but even then you got a long run up to the hill. There's no way anyone's sneaking from that hill.
The question is if you can get within effective range of more powerful weapons before you get picked apart.
It would have been interesting to see a long tom mixed with a close range list on this map. I think that could have caused a lot of problems for RDL in particular.
Now I wonder if WIE have managed to get a visual on them. RDL are standing pretty obviously on the top of that hill, silhouetting, and you know, they're pretty clear if the E-optics can see that far, and I think Kaz has spotted them because he is looking directly at them and not moving.
Something of a game changer here. It does look like Mr. Boo, the Hewitt for WIE, has ramped off a cliff and managed to get himself stuck between two rocks. So,
oh dear.
I don't think he's going to be able to extricate himself, and that could be how Alex is coming. It might be he's able to push him out. Actually, I have seen mechs kind of kick tanks out of rock formations before, so it does look like he's going to try and do that. Might be successful.
I see LRMs fired.
Are those ELRMs,
Hitting the
I
hill.
believe?
Yep,
Yeah.
they should be ELRM. And at the very least they are making RDL move.
Mr. Boo's free.
Yeah, Alex managed to kick him out.
That's good. That means we're not going to have a spoilt final due to terrain
And those
issues.
ELRMs are hitting.
I guess there isn't much RDL can do at the moment. Are they going to be content to sit there and keep that camp up, or are they going to push in and attempt to make use of the weapons that they've got available to them?
A good move by WIE taking ELRMs. Probably actually anticipated something like this, and so they brought them to stop something like what RDL has done. So I mean, they're not going to kill anyone with those ELRMs probably, but it's certainly going to make RDL think twice about staying on the hill.
And
Do
they
we know how
could
many
use
tons of
this to
reload they
charge.
carry?
I don't know how many they carry, but I've used that mech before, and it's not that many. They might be able to take down one. Awesome if they fire like every ELRM and hit it, but it's not going to be enough to take it down. They will run out of ammunition eventually, but
The more important part is that they have forced RDL off the hill. If they can use these ELRM to scare away RDL, they can use it to advance.
WIE currently advancing alongside the west behind the hill near the lake, so they are trying to make use of this opportunity.
Yeah, the point of those ELRMs is just to make sure that RDL can't just stick on that hill, kind of going, "Oh, come and shoot at us." They're now the ones with the advantage, and RDL are going to be the ones that we have to react to that, which is what they are doing.
And RDL can't know exactly how many of these they have. It could also be that RDL is expecting them to have an arrow launcher or something like that, which would really mess them up. RDL has repositioned most of their guys to go below, right outside their base, well in cover, and they have one guy still standing on the hill, probably scouting a bit. But he's moving down now to join his teammates, I think.
Yeah, I do wonder if he's actually looking for a kind of better view, or whether he simply got left behind.
Could very well be.
Moving back to WIE forces, they're having a little bit of a swim in the lake at the moment, moving north, just keeping themselves covered, playing very carefully. Can't blame them for that. No point going in and getting damaged if you can avoid it.
Do you want to be a little more careful with those ELRMs? Not the most numerous weapon in the world, and there's a lot of them hitting hillsides at the moment. So those shadow cats moving in very quickly now through that water.
Yep, WIE just has to make sure if it's going to spring this trap that I imagine it's trying to set up currently, it needs to have all assets available to contribute, otherwise we may have a repeat performance of Extremity.
Yeah, it's a common problem when teams try pincer maneuvers. Most of the times I've seen teams do it, you do actually end up with one team engaging, facing heavier numbers, being defeated, and then the larger team turning around and simply crushing the remaining forces. It's very hard to pull off a successful pincer maneuver.
They still left their Mauler, sending those ELRMs in its original position, yes?
Yeah, and he's still hitting. I just saw some fire impact Furies, and unfortunately, one of the RDL players has just dropped.
That is correct. Yes, it looks like one of their awesomes are empty.
Are we allowing players to rejoin and jump back in assets?
I'm not sure. Roy, are you there to make a call on that?
I'm inclined to say yes, only because they're so close to base.
It's not like to be in the middle of a war zone.
I'm fraction, so I can't drop out. I can't drop down to WIE's channel to ask them. Would someone else in this channel be able to do that?
I'll go ahead.
I wouldn't think so. It's pretty much go time.
Mouse is sorting that out. But yeah, considering the low intensity level of the combat at the moment, I don't think it'd be a problem. Although WIE now coming up over that hill, going to be in range of striking very soon. Very good maneuver by them as well. I was worried they were going to sweep around directly behind them, which would allow RDL to put that hill between them and the other WIE forces. But with them on top of this hill, it means they're going to be able to fire on those units with the shadow cannons whilst maintaining fire with the ELRM. So very good positioning by WIE here.
Yes, indeed. And
it appears that someone has called for a halt.
Yeah, they are bringing him back in. WIE agreed to bring the pilot back into his unit, but no restart. Did I see shots fired then?
Yes,
yeah, there were shots fired. Yeah, but both teams seem to be holding position now. So, oh no.
Oh, hang on. Do you want me to call it, right? For fuck's sake! Why are they engaging? Do you want me to call hold?
I think it's too late now. Really, they're
going
for each other.
If he wants to run back to his mech under fire, fine. But I was absolutely not going to call a cease to the hostilities under any condition.
I think RDL think otherwise.
Is that mech actually still there? I can't see the abandoned. Oh yeah, it's just walking.
Because the problem is that that's going to despawn soon. In reality, one of the RDL should get back in it before he disappears.
His teammate seems to be having trouble reconnecting.
WIE also doing a lot of manoeuvring. Don't think there's really much respect being paid to a ceasefire at the moment.
We should call halt to this, mate, I think.
Go nuts.
Yeah, that was either a fail of communications. I don't know what happened.
Do we know if he's even coming back?
Not sure.
I wonder if Mouse called a halt or not.
Right, they've agreed to it.
To what?
Pause until he's back in.
Where are they going?
But they're moving back. What are they doing?
There's going to be a pause and tell WIE to stop fucking moving.
Yes, it is not a pause if you're moving.
Yeah, it's we've done pauses before in the middle of games, and they usually worked out a lot better than this. Usually everyone will just halt their assets. If they're in eyeball range, then they kind of glare at each other, but it's generally very successful. I haven't seen teams continue to shoot at each other and move around as much as before. We do have MF3Z moving out now, though.
Right, okay, WIE, I've told them to go back to where they were when the guy dropped. So Kaz is going back, so's the Hewitt, and the Shadowcats are going back to their original position.
You know, is this tainted now? I mean, should we call a restart?
I don't think we should call a restart, they're not going to be happy with that, but I think the RDL didn't take much damage, and the Scats were about to do that anyway. Hang on, we need to...
RDL is starting to move.
They're starting to move.
Well, they got, yeah.
Do you want me to maintain this ceasefire until everyone's ready?
I want you to use your judgment here.
I'm mess between.
Problem is, from a spectator point of view, this match is now fairly screwed. But from a gameplay point of view, both teams, I'm sure, just want to keep going at each other. Also, interestingly, RDL obviously took some damage there during that ceasefire, but they now have a positional advantage with WIE having backed off to range again and moved out of that ambush position.
That's all. I just called it live. They're not gonna. The language barrier is too much of an issue, unfortunately, I think, to really explain, and they're obviously not all in TS3. They're all they'd have to separately explain, and it'll take forever. I've just called live instead, so we'll just carry on.
Okay, then as I was saying, then RDL may well have actually come out of this better off, although they took a few bits of damage. They've managed to get themselves out of that ambush, which WIE had planned for them, which I think would have been very nasty.
In all honesty, it's they both did a bit of a skirmishy engagement to start with long-range assets. It isn't going to matter who's where. They're all just going to sit back and plunk at each other regardless of how things work out. As long as the only thing that matters to them is that they can all shoot each other at the same time. And you know, WIE got a few shots off that they would have got off anyway. And I mean, it has meant that RDL have been able to reposition without getting pressured, but then again, WIE shouldn't have moved out of that advantageous position they had when the guy was disconnected anyway, so it's their own fault.
Still think the honor is on Wolf in Exile for allowing the reconnect.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It is. You know, hats off to them for permitting that. I know in FCL we used to say if you dropped, that was it. You know, you couldn't get back in, so kudos for that.
Yeah, FCL said a lot of things.
Well, you know, we had a lot of debates about how things should have been done in FCL before it was set up, and in reality, the way the league was established was pretty smart.
I wholeheartedly disagree with the no spectating deal, though. I mean, that's part of what makes this the event for the community that it is, rather than just for a few people playing in it.
Yeah, the no spectating
Definitely.
part was enforced by other units. It wasn't encouraged in any way by FCL. We actually went against that very heavily.
It is useful to have this this practice though with pausing if you can, because we have had games where we had like 3 people disconnect in 10v10, and it really massively changes the balance.
Since we have some shots fired from RDL, RDL has repositioned to the other side of the map, taking out outside Wolf and Exile's starting base.
WIE, yeah, could either circle around their base here, or they could be planning on using those jump jets and Shadowcats to get onto the runway and take a wider approach. But looks like they're going to go for the base.
Yeah, WA currently just trying to do a little bit of range support from behind their base, bit of jump sniping. Cass getting getting scratched by light gas fire, but nothing too serious.
I think the Hewitt was tickling him too.
Yeah, I saw a lot of fire from the RDL Hewitt, but I'm not sure what he was firing at.
There's a lot of trees actually. See, I was joking, but he is actually shooting trees.
Yes, it seems it is. Probably trying to make a clear line of fire for his teammates. not getting stuck with his tank.
I don't know, I've seen people killed by those trees before. Fucking vicious.
Did we not have a trial won by a tree?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Tree fell on one of our guys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, those trees are dangerous. They'll take arms and legs off. So, yeah, the Explorer core of SCAT-Cs goes mountain climbing again. Currently working their way around the western side, the eastern side of Innisfail Spawn. Making use of areas of Clearcut that some people probably have never even seen.
It's a shame, so big parts of maps never being seen by the vast public.
It is, it's a massive mapping, this Clearcut. You can tell the devs had greater intentions for it than what they've used it for. Makes me wonder if they've got any plans for the future for it, actually.
I see yellow ram fire again.
Really staggering range on those, still coming in even behind those rocks here.
Good thing about LRMs is their arcing ability. They arc a little bit more than LRMs do, so they have a habit of dropping down on targets a little bit better.
Yes, it seems it has forced RDL out of their positions again. They are moving back.
Truly phenomenal number of destroyed trees here as well.
WiE still closing on RDL forces from the east. I hope they're going to be in range for a little bit of skirmishing from their current position behind these mountains.
It could be that they're a little bit late to the party again, but I think if RDL hold their current position, they're going to be in range of Gauss rifles and PPCs when those Shadowcats do come over that hill, but they are moving.
Yeah, all engagement on the Shadowcats, Sick taking some damage. Current focus fire on Bench, trying to drop that Uzil.
And the other WIE assets completely out of the fight at the moment. Not actually moving to come and take apart, actually. Oh no, here they are. They're moving into the base.
Yeah, you would have expected that they would have closed at least somewhat. I imagine the WIE leaders are a little bit more focused on just what's going on the SCAT side of things rather than the entire battlefield itself. But they may be in range to help sometime soon.
Yeah, I wonder if Alan maybe in his urge to manoeuvre his Shadowcats forgot somewhat about the other two assets and whether to move them up.
I see a lot of fire. Doesn't seem to be hitting the Shadowcats.
Yeah, I see a lot of shooting but no dying. I'm sure that'll change sometime soon though. Bench seems to be pulling well back. You can tell that focus fire has bothered him somewhat.
Or these awesomes, I should say. Let's see, MF3Z and Furez.
Yeah, I do see some smoking. I mean, I don't really register that as any damage of note until it starts being on fire, though.
I think it may be just engine exhaust actually looking, but it looks like there might be some grills kind of position there. Also the fact you've got two regular plumes of smoke rather than one big one. I think it's just engine exhaust.
Well, the only thing is the other one doesn't have any. The Vitos's does not have anything like that, so it could be sort of reasonable levels of damage. Bench is the same, Uzil's got the same effect on it.
Does make you wonder actually as well, because that Hewitt and the Mauler are actually, by the looks of it, manoeuvring to engage the Awesomes from behind. So it could be that they're aware of damaged rear armour and are moving to try and take advantage of that, because they certainly seem to be moving to cut the enemy off from behind.
Kaz expecting by the looks of it the enemy to pop over the hill anytime soon. He's stopped, just holding his ground. I'm not really sure.
Spreading out quite a bit.
I'm not really sure what WIE are expecting at the moment. RDL are pretty content to hold this point. The Shadowcats are repositioning. Nice long walk around the externals of the map. And the rest of WIE forces are well out of any kind of support position. RDL had a scout that was actively running at all times, they could isolate this group and deal with it quite easily, but for the moment they're content to keep their cover, attempt to take out what pops into visual range. Both teams obviously playing very safe. PJ firing skyward? Nothing up there, buddy. Maybe trying to shoot some birds down or something.
Or trees. He does seem to hate them.
Well, maybe flying breeze. I remember those back in point 2, they were funny.
Never saw flying trees, I was always horribly disappointed by that.
Yeah, it was very good. You'd load Clearcut up and every single tree would rocket off into the sky. Okay, WiE Shadowcat's moving up to a shooting position to the east of RDL. I believe they may just be out of range. RDL currently has no visual on them.
Yeah, at that distance, I'm pretty confident none of the weapons are going to be effective. RDL, though, don't seem to have noticed the Shadowcats. But judging from the way they're looking, they've got some kind of a ping or visual sighting of the assets on the other side of the map. So, whatever WiE are planning, it does seem to be working in terms of tricking RDL into looking the wrong direction.
Bench has repositioned a little bit closer to the Shadowcats, but he's looking the wrong way, exposing that rear armour. WiE currently only has shooting opportunities from one of their members, and they are still, I think, out of range.
You think of the ELRM Owens as somewhat worthless, but in this situation, it would be a better unit to have up there than those scats.
Well, yes and no. I mean, the ELRM Owens probably wouldn't have got up there, to be honest.
You can get a long time up there even.
It takes some effort though. I mean, the scats are a little bit better, right? But yes, I mean, in this instance, yes, it would. But if the RDL assets move, you know, obviously within range, they're going to be able to put a lot more fire of note into RDL than a couple of Owenses would have been able to. But it looks like they're
coming over the ridge now.
Yep.
So they're definitely giving visual range if RDL only turn round.
They're prepared to commit to an engagement now, WiE. Wonder where the rest of their forces are. Let's go see if we can find this Mauler and this Hewitt. Currently, keeping hold around the same position as before.
Yeah, very spread out here. And from the way RDL have suddenly started manoeuvring, it does look like they've noticed the Shadowcats.
I would say no, because none of them are looking in that direction, but PJ may be about to get a radar contact.
They position themselves behind that hill and they're both looking on either side of it, so I reckon they might well have done it. Yeah, there you go. PJ.
Now they have. Now we go. Now we'll see everyone turn around to look. There we go. That's a confirmed visual. So, WiE Shadowcats currently caught a little bit out in the, well, not in the open, but caught with the pants down a bit. I mean, they've got opportunities though. They can move through the base, move out to the west side. That'll give them good cover. I imagine they're getting ready for some kind of jump snipe, but they'll get hammered if they do that, so probably trying to coordinate.
Rapidly straight towards them now.
Yeah, that's
we've
right.
got the Mauler and the Hewitt are moving into position. Hopefully get some shots at the back of RDL, it looks like.
I think it's going to be too little too late. Those WiE units are still a very, very long way away from...
Oh, fell on and crit.
Point blank range. Oh, and AG just got stuck on him. Oh, that's going to hurt.
Yep, and this is RDL showing you why you should not split up to that degree without constantly being in touch with each other, constantly able to support each other. Because we have just seen Scat Force there get caught out and get wiped out.
Yeah, that was brutally quick. Alex must have taken a fair bit of damage from that crit, probably particularly on the back armor. Yeah, it's not good.
Getting stuck in a tree too.
Yeah.
Trying to use his jump jets to get out of the way, but unfortunately jump jets do not help you flee very well, especially not when you clip into a hill. You lose your speed, and you land in a predictable location, meaning shots on you are easily made. Best bet, weave through the trees, weave through the hills, just give yourself some cover. He's doing a fairly good job at that at the moment, but he's trying to throw them off by circling back towards RDL forces, who are moving to cut him off. Looks like he's realised the error of his mistake.
Oh, there we go.
Runs into a wall and explodes.
So is this over?
I don't think so now.
2 units.
This is, well, it's not over till the fat elemental sings, but the fact of the matter is that it's 2v5. It's going to be real difficult for them to pull this one out of the frying pan, so to speak.
Yeah, those RDL units, apart from the ELRM fire, I shouldn't think are even scratched particularly.
There was some PPC gas fire, which I imagine will have been fairly accurate on them. I think Bench is damaged quite badly. Maybe a couple of the Awesomes are hurting a little bit, but they've got 5. They've got 5 mechs here versus a mech and a tank. Well, 4 mechs and a tank versus a mech and a tank. You know, I mean, as I've said before, a unit that's only on 1% armor can still contribute 100% damage. And that's what matters in these kind of situations. As long as you can stay alive, you can still fight at full capacity. It doesn't matter how hurt you are, as long as you're not losing weapons. Right, Cass taking a heavy fire from the Hewitt, Gauss, and other weapons. Loses a shoulder to the RDL fire and takes more Gauss fire into that shoulder. Mr. Boo trying desperately to support his teammate with some suppression fire on RDL, but they don't seem to care as they push forward steadily.
We're definitely going to see the end here, I think. Not really any options at all for WIE to pull out of here, back themselves into a canyon, but I expect they're not really planning on it now at this stage anyway.
Best they can do is just try and take 1 or 2 of these mechs out and finish the fight with a few kills to their unit's name. But they've done well. They've done well to pull back this far. They've done well to get this far in the competition. But it's not over yet anyway, so let's just see how it finishes. That's Kaz gone, that weakened shoulder obviously causing him trouble.
As you said earlier, I really do like the new particle effects, the way they kick up the dust. Just feels a lot more realistic and like there's a lot more weight behind them, particularly the Gauss rifles.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. Mr. Boo turning his left side to RDL. He's taking quite a lot of damage on his right, so he's trying to spread this damage out. It's the only thing a tank could do in this kind of situation. Just survive as long as you can. So one of the things about tanks in comparison to mechs is their ability to pick where the enemy is going to hit them. The turret really gives them that advantage. Mechs, you know, you've always got to look forward. So you can always face your CT or side torsos.
Does look like he's aiming for the left torso on 3 res there.
And that's it.
And it's done.
Match is concluded. RDL takes the win.
They do
And
indeed.
the tournament.
And the tournament. I believe that left a bit of a bitter taste in Wolf and Exile's mouth, though.
Hopefully not. I mean, obviously we had a couple of problems from disconnects and things like that, but I think that overall they played well. It didn't really turn out disadvantageously for them, and they've had a good series of rounds. You know, they've had some good games. They've done really well. They've shown us how a team can reposition and utilise the entire map to its advantage, and that's really thrown some people off, but RDL weren't really standing for it. They just did what they wanted to do, held their position, took heavy armour, and just tanked whatever WIE threw at them and wherever it came from. You know, it didn't really matter to them. Good focus fire from RDL, good dropless, good solid approaches that they're used to, that maximises the strength of those guys, and it's pulled through for them in the end.
Indeed. And any highlights? In that case, I would say Marsh's game. That one I really enjoyed.
Yeah. Although I did like when that first Shadow Cat on this round went down going critical, and then the second Shadow Cat behind him tripped over him and got stuck on him. That was quite entertaining.
Yeah, indeed. But not entertaining in quite the same skill-based way, perhaps.
No, I imagine the pilot was quite possibly swearing violently when that happened.
For me, it's got to be Sandblasted. You know, I love seeing those clan stars moving around the terrain, making use of line of sight blocking and the maximum range to continually hit the slower, more vulnerable IS assets that just aren't able to pound the damage on as much as they'd like. It just goes to show that superior marksmanship and superior maneuverability at long range can win you fights.
I think the biggest display of balls has to go to the BA who climbed back into a mech with no head armor and no back armor and decided to try and take on the four Warhammers around the corner from him.
Yeah, definitely brave.
Okay, but yeah, overall, good matches. I think it's been a real good tournament. I think it's been good to see the community pulled together like it has. You know, 8 teams in point 4.5 playing in this, in comparison to the 3, 4, 5 teams that were involved in FCL and have been around since the earlier part of the mod. Just shows how things are developing, and hopefully we'll see more of these kinds of things as time goes on. Have you got?
Especially happy to see new units in this that did not partake in FCL. I mean, both Wolf in Exile and DCK have not been seen around much in league-style tournaments before.
Yep, so
KOS as well.
Yeah, KOS too.